Yeah. So chapter 1, we got through it. We're in it. Here we are. We wrote down a couple of questions, just some insider questions of kind of, questions for each other that we had, while we were filming it. I think John did you write down a question?
I did write down a question.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Here we go. What we got?
Yeah, we're going to jump in. All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. One of the things that caught my attention was John talking about his dad. And if you differed from his dad, how his father didn't necessarily approve of that, how it had to be his father's way. So for you guys, and I know you're on different stages of ages of kids and stages of fatherhood, what's it been like for you guys as fathers to have a vision or a goal for your kids? Or I think even sometimes we feel like we know them better than they know them because we've watched them grow, and but then to see them differ.
Oh yeah, that's a great question.
And explore who they are and experiment a little bit or fail, all part of the growth process. But then to differ from you as well, potentially in some of the things they choose or the ways they describe themselves or whatever it might be.
And that's a great question.
It is a great question.
Hard when Molly is 22 years old in the story, and my oldest is 20 right now, and different, young lady, but there's some similarities, and there's a lot of searching and moving and launching off on her own, right? And she's a young lady. I'm her dad. I'm a father. I'm a guy, and I'd do anything for my daughter, Alden, as well as my other kids, but specifically focusing on her. So that's a great question, like she's doing different things than I would do. That's good. And that's also scary, and there's a lot that I feel like is kind of outside of, like, I can't hold that anymore. I can't control that anymore. Maybe I haven't been for a while, but I'm recognizing it pretty strongly. Whether that's something small like her own taste in music or movies or something like that, or something larger with the way she's living out her faith or the way she's engaging in relationships. And then we're seeing what she's writing today and how maybe that's going to reflect out into the future. And so it's awesome to be able to like hear John and hear Molly from a really real-time standpoint right now and just be like, those are great questions. I bet my daughter's feeling similar things to what Molly's feeling, right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously my kids are much younger. So my oldest is 6, youngest is 3, and soon to be 4. Yeah, no, soon to be 3, and then 1 on the way. So I think I've seen it a little bit with like my oldest, obviously completely different stage, but like more fears. I think we'll talk about more of this in this series, but you have fears like by different proclivities you're seeing your kid kind of display, and it's hard because they're only 6, but mainly around like seeing how influenced he is by other kids, that he doesn't have a whole lot of grit to kind of stand firm. He's more likely to do what other kids are doing, especially if he thinks they're cool, and so trying to remember, like, as a father, what it was like to be 6 and to not take that and like apply that to the rest of his life. Like, oh, he's not going to be a leader. He's just going to be a follower. He's not going to stand firm for things. Like, he's just going to kind of go with the flow. Those are fears that I have for sure. And so sometimes I can parent out of those fears and maybe even discipline out of those fears or have conversations that are like really intense with him about being a leader and not being a follower. And I think those are important conversations, but they're coming from a place of fear, so they carry a more like intense tone. Because I don't have a whole lot of like visions for him, like I want to play baseball, or he has to do this, or he has to do these things that I like. It's more his character that I have visions of. And so sometimes there's, your kid's a little sinner. So when you see they're, as we all are.
Tell them that often.
Yeah. Oh, I do. But yeah, I think that it
sinner.
can. That's right. Here's your present, you little sinner.
Why did my lunch bag say sinner in it, Dad?
Yeah.
Because you're one.
Why are you giving me a lunch bag? Well, I'm homeschooled.
There's that too.
There's that question. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say that from my stage. But even like talking, I think about like talking to my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law loves to golf, loves golf, and he has one son. The rest of them are daughters, and his son doesn't want to do anything with golfing. And that's really hard for him because he's like, even like, we were just visiting him. Internally, he's struggling, like letting that go, that dream. Like, I can't, and then also like he has a daughter who loves to go golfing with him, like even just to go out and be with him. And so he's like, my heart is drawn towards my daughter more than it is towards my son. But yet I have 4 children. Like, how do you navigate those waters when you feel drawn towards one child over the other? Not that they're favorite, but you're just connecting in a deeper way. You know, it's not as much of a struggle. And I don't think there's an answer to it. It's just kind of one of those things that you exist in and have to fight against, you know, as a father.
That's
So,
a hard one too, because activity is such a connection point.
Yeah.
especially
And
for
you
men.
have things you love to do, or even you taught your kids to do, and then, but that's only one thread of connection. But I think it's the easiest one for guys too, because we like to move, we like to be active. Like,
Yeah.
let's go do something or build something.
And I
Then
think,
how do you connect
Yeah.
with your kids when it's a different thread that's going to connect with
Right.
them? That's not the activity, or they despise the activity,
or not
That's
anything maybe
weird.
that you enjoy doing, but they're all
Right.
about it, you know, especially with younger kids. And I think even for my brother-in-law, like him and his father's relationship's really complicated, you know, kind of classic actually. Like his dad's real hard worker, wasn't around a lot, but my brother-in-law, you know, oldest, he doesn't think about it often, but one of the ways that him and his father connected was golfing. They golfed together. So I think even for him in his mind, when he thinks about father-son connection,
It's golf.
it's golf. So even like thinking through that, you know, as I was talking with him while we were visiting, I'm like, I wonder how much is attached to that, of that, why it's so hard to let go. It's not just something you enjoy. It actually means it symbolizes
That's
something.
maybe the main model he's
Right.
seen.
That's the
for
model you
connection.
saw.
So he's having to redraft a new model, a new reality for.
Yeah.
I got a question for us. You know, like this is chapter 1. You know, we got these dads and daughters all showing up from different places, showing up, you know, with some of the things like Molly talked about, the awkwardness, you know, of like, oh, I'm an awkward human being. I don't really want to talk about my feelings in front of people. And I think having been on expedition and even just doing things for the first time, heck, even doing this,
Yeah.
it's awkward. It's weird, you know? So what was going through your guys' minds as we showed up there in the Stehekin, kind of getting a lay of the land? What was awkward or weird for you all from your different perspective?
It's a good question.
I think we talk about it often, how it's kind of comical the first day. It feels very rigid, or some fathers come tentative, you know, cross-armed. I'm just gonna more watch before I engage, you know, and it's awkward to lead some things, games or discussions, but you know that out of anywhere else you could be, and we say this to fathers all the time, and you guys, I mean, experience in mending lines, that anywhere else you could be, you're here right now because your kids mean that much to you, or your father means that much to you. And so you know that it's going to move past the awkwardness and the crossed arms, and it's going to enter intentionality, and there's going to be some real fruit there. At least that's the track record. Like you can almost take it to the bank of because we're all here to press in for that next level that's out there. I don't know. It kind of allows you to enjoy the journey of, this is really awkward and weird right now, and I see you crossing your arms right there, but come day 3, you're probably going to be a little more vulnerable and finding that courage in the company of other fathers as they go there too. So
Yeah.
That's so true. I mean, we even heard from people who go through mending lines, like you even talked about as you're going through a group of dads, like there's almost an awkwardness to even this where it maybe can feel a little off-putting, but it's like you got to stay faithful. Like once you get to like chapter 3 or chapter 4, like it really starts to unlock. There's like that's like some sort of special timing there. But the beginning process is just awkward,
Yeah.
you know, because everybody's kind of feeling each other out. It's also something you've never really done before.
Yeah.
You know,
And there's other people involved in the
Yeah.
mix. Like we show up at this Stehekin Valley Ranch, which is an amazing place with remarkable food. I don't think any of us were expecting it to be that amazing. And you're like, okay, we got people with cameras, you know, we got audio stuff, you know, issues to work through, and we've got other people here, and we've got this, you know, this Stehekin Valley Ranch, plus, you know, the Stehekin River and where we're gonna go fish, and you know, we've got some other guides out here, and there's just a lot of different components. And yeah, you're kind of watching the dads thinking, all right, my mind's still at work, you know, and the daughters, these are all adult daughters, so their minds are back in their own home. You know, it's like, here we are. Is this going to even be worth it, you know? And as a, you know, as the staff team on the inside, you're like, dang, we spent a lot of money and time to get here. I hope we can make it worth it, you know? And it's just a lot of different things. If you could like punt and like maybe like maybe we should do something else. It's like it's just sitting there lurking, like maybe we should try something else, and then you start getting into it, and it's like you just said, the arms are crossed, and then they start kind of coming uncrossed, the shoulders relax. You start to learn about the dads, kind of make friends with the dads. The daughters are starting to make friends with the daughters. Our other guides are incredible people, Doug and Mindy. And so it's just, you just start to see everybody kind of like, all right, maybe this isn't going to not just be bad. Maybe this is actually going to be pretty amazing. So, but awkward and weird is normal.
Yeah.
And I think like even for y'all, as the way this is designed, like with chapter 1, it's like, we're going to start stepping into this. Into the story. There's a reason why you see the other elements, the story elements. It's not just let's go through it with a bunch of facts. Facts don't really heal what's going on down in here, and that's really what Mending Lines is getting into. It's engaging a story, because that's what's going on in our life. It's going on in our relationship with our daughters, and that's what God is inviting for Family Lines. So,
well, and intentionality is just on the other side of awkwardness and discouragement.
Yeah.
Like the greatest fruit is really on that other side of you trying to talk yourself out of it. Like, I don't even think she's going to want to say anything, or he's going to want to say, or will he even remember this time? Making the time is huge, step one. Being intentional while you have that time is where the fruit is. But opposition is always, feels like you're always talking yourself out of it. Or you need fellow fathers to talk you into it. No, this is really good, Aaron. This is why we do this. Like there is fruit here. God will show up. Really, that's you're kind of, you're putting yourself out there.
That's so true. I think it's indicative of the title too, like here and now. That it's about being here and now. What's the current situation now? Because I think we so often are, even as people, thinking about something other than now, because now's uncomfortable. Right. Now's whether my relationship with my daughter, like now's uncomfortable. But it's really a calling to like be here and now in the uncomfort, or the discomfort. And I think you like you said that, I think even for the participants, like, do I have anything of value to say? Like here I'm on this filming expedition. These guys obviously have an expectation, or I feel like they do. Do I have anything of value to say? And I think maybe some dads feel that way as well. Like even with the series, like, well, my relationship with my kid's good. It's pretty good. Maybe there's no value to this. And I think it's just like you just have to start the process, because God's going to uncover, like if you engage the process or answer the question, maybe you never thought to ask it or whatever, that things start to uncover themselves. And I think that's a great opportunity even with this resource.
That uncover, like the discovery, that's what Mending Lines really tries to push into. It's a discovery process. Remember, we're not just reaching out to dads that have screwed up. For one, we've all screwed up, all right? But we're all in the same battle against absence. Like there's absence, and it looks different for every family, every different connection, and we're leaning into that battle. Step 1 is take the step, and then step 2 is take the next one. And really that's got what this process is going to be the whole way through, and it might be different than something you've ever done. I will say another thing that's different about this one compared to our other series is this one is designed for a dad and a daughter to go through together. I don't know about y'all, but the number of small group opportunities for a dad and his daughter, especially like his adult daughter or older daughter, personally, I've never been a part of one. I've never even, I don't see that, people automatically associate our ministry with father-son.
Sure.
All the time. We work with all, but it's like,
fishing.
It's fishing, right? And by the way, my oldest daughter is my biggest fisherman in my family. But that in this one, this is for dads and daughters to show up and to walk through. It's 9 chapters. It's 9 different layers of discovery for you and your connection with your daughter that will not only make a difference in today, but will make a difference for the future and for your family line, even when you're not a part of the picture anymore. So
and I love too that you even include like the activities, like some of the icebreakers that we'll see in other chapters, that they're included in there. And I think that's the encouragement, is like really just engage the awkward. Which I think is a part of like our, fight absence, choose presence, engage restoration. Like engaging restoration is awkward, like it's not this like all the time, this really beautiful thing. Like sometimes it's awkward and uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and you don't really know what the end process is going to be. You just have to take the one step towards it.
I'll mention
Great.
one more thing about the age that these daughters are to you, or as we've done expeditions with kids in their 30s, 40s, have been some of the richest because they have enough life lived now to where they know they don't know it all like they did when they were teenagers, or they've had their own kids now, or they're potentially married, or they've been in a relationship, and now they're able to relate to us as fathers at a whole different level. You're
adults,
always
yeah.
their father, but yeah, there's that almost that peer brother sister even
Sure.
interaction, adult to adult. And then I've got two boys. I don't have daughters, so remembering too as we go through this series, you don't have to have a daughter to connect with the questions or to dig into what intentionality looks like in this series. Applies fathers and children right across the board. So
One, would you consider, if you're a dad and you have a daughter, going through the actual small group series? We have a facilitator guide and we have a personal workbook for each individual for you to walk through. Those are downloadable on our website for free, and everything is there, everything that you need. It's just going to take your decision to step out. And yeah, there's some arrangement of calendar.
Yeah, get a group together.
You
Yeah.
can do this, as I've mentioned, and maybe we'll mention in future releases here. I'm doing right now series 2 with 2 other dads. It's a group of 3 of us, and it's significant. And so that would be the first invitation is if you're a dad with a daughter, think about doing this, especially an older daughter. Probably, you could do it with 14 on up, but probably it just gets a little more richer with each year, 16, 18, 20s, 30s, 40s. Absolutely.